The grid is going goodbye here. So there it is. Just gonna turn it off, right? Just click it off. Doesn't matter what its settings are, it's just off. Look at that, clean black screen. So the very first line I'm gonna draw is a construction line. So I'm in my construction layer, and I'm gonna XL enter, and just kind of randomly place it. And I wanna make sure it's vertical. So I'm going to take advantage of this ortho snap down here. See this one right here, this ortho mode? By the way, that's F8. And ortho allows you to only draw vertically or horizontally. So there it is, right? I can only draw vertically or horizontally, which as it happens is like 99% of the time, right? So with that on, I can do almost all of my lines, and it just makes it easier. So I've gone to my construction layer, I typed XL enter, and I've drawn two construction lines, one vertical, one horizontal, in my ortho mode, which again is F8 to toggle that on and off. And now I am ready to offset the distances that make up this view. So if you're looking at the object, hopefully you got that handy, you can see that if I go horizontally, the distance from one side to the other is 4.5 inches. So I'm going to offset this line right here 4.5 inches. Offsetting is basically the copy command and the move command combined. So I'm going to copy this line and move it a specific distance, 4.5 inches. The offset command can be accessed right up here. There it is. But it's easier just to type the letter O. So O, enter, and now I'm in the offset mode here. And the first thing it says is, what distance do you want to offset? And the distance is 4.5. And then it says, select an object to offset. And I want to select this vertical line. And I can choose which side. You always got to click which side, because I can either go to the left of that line or to the right. And I'm going to go to the right and click. And there it is. Now I have a new line. I'll dimension that for you just to prove to you that it is exactly 4.5 inches away. And you can see there it is. So it copied this line and it moved that copy 4.5 inches. What else? The thickness of this piece right here is 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to offset, O, enter, 5/8. And I can type in 5/8, enter, and click this line and click over. And there you go. So now you got that vertical line. What else? I also need the distance to the center of the hole. And if you look on the drawing, you will see the distance to the center of the hole is 1 7/8 of an inch from this side. So if I copy this side over 1 7/8, I'll get to that center point. Do you know what 7/8 is as a decimal? Well, you could look it up by simply using the calculator and doing 7 divided by 8, or you could enter it in as an improper fraction. And I will do that. And that is simply going to be 15/8, 15/8, enter, and then select this object, and there it is. So offset is a modal command. In other words, it will keep doing that. Check this out. If I click this line and I click this line, it will keep offsetting the same distance And so you got to be a little careful of that, because if you don't change the value, it will use the old value. So be wary of that. To change the value, if you hit the Enter button to get into the command and Enter button to get out of the command, it will then prompt you to change the value. Let's do some more. So I believe I've got all the horizontal, all the vertical lines figured out. Let's do some horizontal lines. The thickness of this base right here is 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to offset that. I'm going to type O, enter, and then the distance, 3/4 or 0.75, enter. And then click the line and click upward. So again, if I kept clicking right now, it would keep offsetting 3/4 of an inch. But I don't want to keep offsetting 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to hit enter to get out of the command, and then enter to get back into the command. And you can see at the command prompt, it's saying, what distance do you want it to be? If you hit enter again, and we're going to revert back to the last thing you used. But I want to change the value. So I want to change the value to the inside, this inside groove that's in the base there. And you can see on the drawing, it says it's 5/16. So I'm going to type 5/16, enter. And then I'm going to click this line and click upward. All right. So this is the height of the groove, and this is the total height of the base. The next line I'm going to click upward is to the center of the hole that's going through this portion over here. And that's marked as 1 1/2 inches from the bottom. So I'll hit enter to get out, enter to get back in, change my value to 1.5, enter, click that bottom line, and then click upward. And now I have the line that will be the center of this hole that goes through this one. And the last thing is the final height of this object. And that is given by the radius of the arc that makes up the final height. And that distance is 3/4 of an inch from this line here. So I hit enter to get out, enter to get back in, and type 0.75 or 3/4. I can click this line, and then there you go. So now I have all of the construction lines that make up that front view. And if I go to my object layer, I can just go around there like that. This construction line right here was the center line. I can mark that with my center line layer. Here we go. And we'll pull that out in a little bit. And then there is a hidden line that goes along this one. There's another, should have marked that center line that is for this hole, from there to there. And we'll stretch that out in a little bit. So that's just the basic markings for you, just to give you an idea of what I did here. So this line was right here was the height of that groove that goes through the bottom. And then we have the thickness of the base, the thickness of this side here, and then the center lines of these two holes, which I need to extend outward. But um, I'll show you that next. So how do I know how far to extend these guys outward without overextending them? And the answer is I need to offset my construction lines a little further so I have something to click on for these center lines. The distance to the center line is supposed to extend beyond the object is 1/4 of an inch. So I could do that. So O, enter, 0.25, enter. And then these construction lines, I just pop them out 1/4 of an inch, all the ones that are going to be used. So I was able to do that all at once because they're all the same value. I'll redo that for you. O, enter, 0.25, enter. And just click this line, all of them. All the ones that we're talking about here, bump them out 1/4 of an inch, and now I can grab my center line and extend it to the proper distance. There you go. So that's how that works. I'll zoom in on that a little tighter. So it's looking pretty good so far. The last thing I need to do to complete this front view is the hidden lines that make up the hole. So how big is this hole right here? It says 3/4. 2 holes, so they're both the same size, 3/4 of an inch. So to find the sides of these, I would have to offset the center line, the radius. So in other words, divide 3/4 by 2, which is easy. You just multiply the bottom, the denominator, by 2. So it's 3/8. So I'm going to offset O, enter, 3/8 of an inch. And here it is, 3/8 on each side. Same with this one. And now I have the construction lines that make up the edges of those holes. So I just offset the radial value. That's all I did. And now I can draw those lines. That one I overextended this guy. There it is. Okay. Turn off my construction lines. You can see exactly what we got here. And that is the complete front view. So that's the offset method. Guys, at any time, please feel free to interrupt, ask questions. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Wrong way. And continue onward. So in the top view, I'm going to make a horizontal construction line, kind of randomly, or you could just offset an existing one, sort of randomly. Or maybe I'll do that. O, enter, and I'll offset it, let's say 2 inches. There you go. So I just offset this line 2 inches upward. And now for the top view. The width of this top view, it shows as being 2 1/4 inches. So I will do that first. So O, enter, 2.25, enter. And there it is. So there is the full width of the top view. If you'd like, I could draw a box around it for you so you can see it there. We already know where this line is. It's going to be right there. And all right, so what else? How about the center lines for the holes? So that's obviously in the middle. You know, that should be pretty easy to draw. If I go to construction line, XL, enter, I should be able to just grab the midpoint. There it is. So I didn't even have to figure out what that was, although half of 2 1/4 is 1 1/8, or a 9/8. Could have offset this value, this line right here, 9/8 to the center, but either way, now you got the center line. I can draw this. I can take it's time to draw this circle, which should be on the object layer. There you go. And this one over here is going to show up looking just like this one. So I can copy this. CO, enter, and select these 3 lines. Grab it from the midpoint where the center line intersects the object and just place it on the same spot there. Boom. Top view is just about done. I need the edges of the that slot that goes through here, and those are going to be revealed to us in the right side view. So let's draw that right side view, and then we'll get those lines. I want to project these lines down into the right side view and vice versa, so I'm going to need to draw that transfer line. XL, enter, A, enter, 45, enter. And where you place it really is not important, just kind of eyeballing this. You can move the drawings around in a little bit. And then I'm going to project these lines downward. Get rid of this first. All right. So now I have the basic makeup here. I can throw some object lines on there to help you see that a little better. This one is not really like that, but just to show you, it's at an angle. In order to draw these angled lines, we're first going to need the circle that they're tangent to. So I'm going to delete those and draw the circle that they are tangent to. Its center is right here, and its height is that. There it is. And then I'm going to draw those lines. So from this corner to tangent, and I want to see that tangent snap. Same thing over here. Click on the corner, see that tangent snap light up. There it is, and click. And then I can trim this away. You might want to turn off the construction lines before you do that, so that you don't have to click a million times. There you go. And then you can turn them back on. Okay, and there is another circle that goes here, and its size is like that. There it is. So the right side view is looking pretty good. I still need to show the hidden lines of this hole. But the big thing I need to show is the slot that's going through the bottom here. And we are given its dimensions, its overall width as 1.5. We already have its height here is 5/16. And it also has angled sides. So we'll check that out. Let's zoom in on that. So its overall width is 1.5 inches, which means from the center, it's half of that distance. So that would be 3/4 of an inch on each side. So I could offset O, enter, 3/4 of an inch or 0.75. Both sides, there we go. So the basic shape is like that. I'll draw this basic shape for you. But the sides are actually angled. They're angled inward some amount like this. And we are given that dimension as being 60 degrees from horizontal, which is how angles are measured, from horizontal. So if I make a construction line, XL, enter. Let me get on my construction layer, sorry. If I make a construction line that is 60 degrees, XL, enter, A, enter, 60, enter, and then click right at that point, you can see that's what we're really after. And I can grab these two lines and move them over there. So on the other side, that angle's value isn't going to be 60 because 60 would be pointing over here. It's going to be 60 plus what it takes to get up to vertical, which is 90, plus what it takes to go another 30 degrees. So the angle of that guy is going to be 120. So XL, enter, A, enter 120. And click on that corner. And then I can just grab these two and move them over there. So yeah, that is the profile of the slot that we're after. And the lines that we need in the top view are these ones that we already have, but we also need the lines coming out of these corners. So I'm going to put the construction lines there as well. So XL, enter, V, enter, and place them on those corners. And then we'll bounce those over. So XL, enter, H, enter, and we'll grab all those points. There they are. And I think I'm going to do some trimming while we're here. Trim to this line. There we go. And then with my hidden layer, show both of these lines going all the way across. Okay. Looking pretty good. I want to show in the, what do I got missing here? On the right side view, I need to do this hole. So I'll just copy that over, CO, enter, grab these three lines, move them from the mid point of intersection there. So I got that one copied. And I need to put the center line in here. I'm just going to extend this one up. How far up? I need to offset this guy 1/4 of an inch. So I have something to click on. I'm going to do the same on these. You know, I'm going to show you a trick. Let me get to that one in a minute. So I've extended this construction line up 1/4 of an inch, offset it 1/4 of an inch, so I have something to click on for that center line. And then I'm going to do this. Okay. And for this circle here, again, because this whole object is symmetrical, I could take this center line and go all the way across, which is a pretty good idea. But to do that, I need to have something to click on 1/4 of an inch away. So I'm going to hit offset, enter, and get that guy there. And then I'll have this center line and I'll just bring it all the way across. So that is showing that the entire object is symmetrical about that axis. And then I also need a center line going through the circle here. I need it to be 1/4 of an inch away. An easy way to do that is just to offset the circle temporarily. So if I do that, and then I go to my center line, I can man, it is struggling to stay. Click there and then click there. And then I can just delete that circle. So now I know that my center line went 1/4 of an inch beyond the object. So you can offset an arc or any line, any object line, to do your to be able to mark your center lines, and then you can just delete it afterward if you want. Okay, so that is how you create the drawing using the offset method. As far as putting these dimensions on, very similar as before, but you are going to continue offsetting that 1/4 of an inch to get the placement for all your object lines. So I can continue offsetting these lines 1/4 of an inch, kind of just several times, and essentially making a grid as needed, you know. So how many of these you got to do? I don't know right now because I haven't placed the dimensions yet. But you can see the first jump away is 1/4 of an inch for the center lines, and the next jump away is where your first dimension line will go, and then your next following dimension line after that. So let's just do this really quick here. So the overall width of the object, I could place that. Are there going to be any other dimensions that go in here? Perhaps. I would say yes. For example, the distance to the center is probably going to go in here. So if that one is to go there, then this one should probably go beyond that. And you can see the spacing. Again, the first offset of 1/4 inch is reserved for center lines, and then beyond that, the first dimension, and beyond that, the second dimension. How about the overall height? Interestingly, the overall height is not going to be, well, that is a long subject. but we dimension to the center of the object as opposed to the overall height typically. So it would be done something like this, right there. And then we have this here. And the thing you want to do when you're doing these dimensions is just to look at the original sketch that you're given by the engineer and just make sure you have every single number he gave you, basically. And that's it. So Dewey. And that is exactly what I'm doing right now, just going through them and making sure I've got them all. So let's do these holes here. I'm going to go to my diameter and click on this circle. And before I place it, I'm going to type M for M text. And then I'm going to type in, because there's two of them, I'm going to say 2 capital X space. And then hit the check mark. And then place it. So again, I'll redo that. I went to my dimension tool. I chose diameter. Clicked on the circle. And instead of placing it as it is, 750, I typed M, and you can see the option down here, M for M text, and then 2X space, not 2 capital X, that is, space, and then the check mark, and then place that half inch away from the object. So that's about right there. Okay, so that gets my 2 holes. I do need to dimension this outer arc, so I will do that. And there's only one of them, so that should be pretty easy. Just click on it somewhere. And I'm not sure. Oh, I know what's happening, sorry. You need to, I still have it on diameter. You need to change that to radius because diameters are for complete circles or holes. This is just an arc, so it's just a radius. So my mistake. And I will put that right there. Keep those lined up. That's a nice thing to do. Okay, so looking at my drawing, I see all that's left is some of the dimensions on the slot. And I'm going to do the exact one they had here. Show this 1.5. And then show the angles. So to do the angled, I'm going to come down here and choose angular. And now I can click on the angled line and the horizontal line and place this dimension in a few different locations. I could pull it off this way, which is probably the best bet, kind of out of the way. Or I could do it on the other side, which might work out better. It's hard to say. But that works out pretty well right there. And if you had it on the other side, it might be interfering with these dimensions. So I think it's pretty clean right there. So again, I chose angular from the pull-down menu here, clicked on dimension, and clicked the two lines in question, which is just this guy here and this line here. And if we can get that to happen again. And then pulled off to the lower right and placed it about a ½ inch away. I do believe that is all of our dimensions, and if I turn off my construction lines, I think that is the complete drawing. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. Most of the dimensions are on the inside. We really didn't have any other option with this guy, this 1.5 on the bottom, and the 60-degree angle. It seemed like that's probably the best place for that to go to. All of the dimensions are at least a ½ of an inch away from all of the object lines. Yeah, I think that's about it. Of course, you want to put a border on this, and you want to name it the slide base and your name as well. And so I'll do that after we leave here.